All right, everybody. We're going to be talking about an interesting topic today, and that is the game series and the creator of said great game series, The Last of Us. Now, many of you are probably familiar with The Last of Us because of the popular games. Many of you might only know about it because of the show from HBO Max that came out a while ago. And I'll say that, like, I'm kind of a Last of Us fan, right? Like, I appreciate The Last of Us for what it is, you know? Like, it definitely has made a pretty big impact on the gaming industry. I think a lot of people have come to take gaming as an industry a lot more seriously because of The Last of Us. There's definitely a lot of good to it. Its combat is actually surprisingly good. Like, the gameplay of The Last of Us, people give it shit like it's a meme to say, over the shoulder third-person action RPG, or whatever the phrase is. Like, oh, it's generic. But The Last of Us actually has really snappy, good gameplay, both 1 and 2, which kind of, like, just made it even better. I mixed up like 3 different words I was about to say into like one, you know, I'm just trying to talk so fast. Anyway, I think The Last of Us gameplay is good. I think the story is good, though very unoriginal. Like, the concept of what the story is with like Joel and Ellie is really unoriginal. If you know, like, what other media came out like shortly before that was like obviously kind of ripped off a little bit, especially when you know who made The Last of Us. Now, a couple years ago, I was much more of a Last of Us defender, and the reason for that was because The Last of Us Part 2 had become the target of the right-wing culture war in a really unfair and shitty way that bothered the fuck out of me. I really didn't like it, but they were, like, attacking it from the get-go, trying to claim that, like, a character was trans that wasn't. Even though if they were right about that character being trans, they were also being horrifically hateful. There was a bunch of that grifting of trying to just make a bunch of money off of hate slop content around a popular thing before it comes out. And then, of course, when it came out and it was popular, everybody that was doing all the, like, doomsaying for the game had to find some copium to explain how the game could be the biggest PS4 or PS5 release of all time and still be a total flop that went woke and went broke, right? It was pretty funny, though. Here's the thing, though. Those people focused a lot of their attacks at Neil Druckmann, the guy who's, like, the lead writer and, like, story dev or whatever, the lead director and project manager of The Last of Us. And a lot of their attacks seemed really weirdly vitriolic. Now, what I knew of the guy that wasn't unfair was that he was known to be a little pretentious, right? And Naughty Dog as a studio had a reputation for being a little pretentious. And a lot of this came after the release of Last of Us 1, right? Now, I defended him because a lot of the people attacking him were like far right, and it seemed like it was really politically motivated attacks. But over time, I started to realize, damn, Neil Druckmann does kind of suck. The first realization I had was like a year ago. So, well, no, it was back in October. For those of you guys that don't know, Neil Druckmann has come out as a staunch supporter of the IDF in Israel. Are you guys aware of that? The guy who's like, the guy who made The Last of Us is like literally pro-IDF, pro-Israel dude? Yeah. I didn't know that. Bad news bears right now. Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse. Not just something I learned recently, but right now, this is the story that's passing around that is uniting all gamers, left, right, and center, on a mutual hatred, in a mutual hatred of Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann says AI will reduce costs, quote, revolutionize development, and help push the boundaries of storytelling in games. He adds there are ethical issues that need to be addressed, and it's crucial to precisely direct these tools to achieve the intended outcomes. That does not sound fucking good. So first he's talking about how he supports the IDF, and now he's talking about how he wants to use AI for future Naughty Dog games that he's working on. But trust me, guys, it's going to be good AI. It's going to be good AI, I promise. That's why I have to prep you all to be, like, okay with it before we do it. Because if we just made a game and it did well and people liked it and then we said it was made with AI, no one would care. So, but, like, no, trust me. The fact that we're prepping you for it means it's totally good news that we're going to be using AI. We're not trying to boil the frog. Trust me, trust me, trust me. Trust me. Anyway, I learned this today and I was like, oh man, Neil Druckmann, he actually does kind of suck, huh? Like actually sucks? And then I found this out. And this actually fucking blows me away. How many of you are familiar with what The Last of Us was originally going to be? The Last of Us went by a different name before it was called The Last of Us. The name was going to be Mankind. Do you want to know why? Neil Druckmann's first pitch for The Last of Us 1 was that only women could be infected by the cordyceps fungus. So the player, Joel, or the character who would become Joel, would be brutalizing woman zombies for most of the game. It took multiple other Naughty Dog devs telling him it was a bad idea for him to realize that it was indeed a very bad idea. The original story, and I'm sure you can still see the shreds of that original story that are still, like, kind of around, was that only women could get the cordyceps virus. And so the original story that Neil Druckmann came up with was that Joel had found the one woman girl on Earth who was not susceptible to the cordyceps fungus and would have to transport her across a country full of men who were gonna try to get her. And that was, like, Neil Druckmann's idea for the story. And, like, the whole time he'd be brutalizing zombie women. And exclusively zombie women. That was what and it was going to be called Mankind. And that was going to be what The Last of Us was originally. That was Neil Druckmann's Last of Us, if the devs did not stop him. What the fuck was he cooking? Yeah. So, when you look at Naughty Dog today and Neil Druckmann now, and you see how, like, pretentious and, like, virtue signally he is, man, like, I feel united with the right on this. Fuck Neil Druckmann. Do you guys want to see even more evidence that, that he was, sexist as well? Or that he has a problem with women? For those who don't know, Neil Druckmann is credited as the guy behind Uncharted as well, another Naughty Dog game franchise that's very popular. But for those of you guys that don't know, Uncharted's 1 and 2, you know, the good ones that people, like, universally praise, those two games were made, or written originally, the creative director was a woman named Amy Hennig. Or Hennig, I forget exactly how it's pronounced. And she and Neil Druckmann kind of shared the wheel for a lot of these projects, but then there was a creative disagreement, and Amy Hennig left the company. And Neil Druckmann was left to solely helm the ship, with nothing but the occasional protest from other Naughty Dog devs that stopped him from doing things like making Mankind instead of The Last of Us, right? So, learning all this stuff today, it's like, man, my opinion of The Last of Us and Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann has just kind of dropped substantially, hasn't it? Would you guys agree? So Amy Hennig was what made Uncharted good? I mean, I wouldn't pin it on a single person, but it certainly wasn't Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann seems to be like an actual hack. Okay, so apparently, tell me if I'm wrong here, didn't Neil Druckmann, to give you an idea of, like, why people don't like the guy and they think he's a douchebag, Neil Druckmann went to, like, a Hollywood event and posed, like, just stood there posing for people to come and, like, randomly take pictures with him, and not a single person did. For, like, an hour, apparently, he stood at this, like, event, for some Hollywood event, posing and expecting people to want to come and take photos with him, like they'd know who he is, and no one recognized him or cared to get a photo with him. And you could tell how mad he was after a little while. People were taking, like, the only photos people took were the photos that people took making fun of him. Kind of reminds me of Elon Musk at that one Fallout premiere event, where, like, nobody wanted to hang out with him and Todd Howard. Like, everybody was making, like, a wide berth around Elon and Todd Howard, the two most unlikable people at the fucking building. Like, why are they here? Who invited them? The people that, like, universally every Fallout fan hates, you know? The real-life version of Mr. House, but not anywhere near as cool. Like a failed version of Mr. House, who's already a failed version of what he's trying to be. And then, fucking Todd Howard. Hey, apologize to Todd. No, fuck Todd Howard. Todd Howard can actually eat my asshole. I would shit down Todd Howard's throat if given the opportunity. That's what he deserves, okay? No, there were cameras there, just that they were silent, and the post that made it was community noted. Okay, my bad. There's some actual psychopathy there that should be looked at by a doctor or something. With Neil Druckmann, I don't know. It's just very cringe. He's just a very cringe guy. And knowing all this about him really puts some stuff into perspective, doesn't it? Anyway. I just thought this would be a fun little segment. I'm curious what you guys think about the situation. Oh, nice. Excuse me. Well, if you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like down below. Every single thumbs up really helps the channel a lot. I really do mean it. It goes a really long way, boosting my content and the algorithm out to more people, so no matter when, where, or what you're watching, drop that thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to comment down below for the same effect. Subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. Follow my social medias linked down below in the description. And don't forget, if you want to support me directly financially, consider subscribing, donating, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some merch through my Streamlabs link down below. Or just check out the Streamlabs link down below. Look at the merch store, see what's there. You don't even have to buy. And don't forget, there's a link down below to join my free Discord server. It is my fan hub, the main hub of my fan base. We do watch parties, game events, and call-in streams there. We're actually going to be doing a watch party in there in just a few moments, actually. And of course, don't forget, I also announce all my new uploads and videos there too, so make sure notifications are on and you won't miss anything. I hope to see you there. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching.